Okay, so here's what I've done. This is a bolt that I cut off and I've clamped it here, and my idea is to weld it inside of here and to the back in there. Weld it back in here to this piece, because this piece moving is the problem. So I want this plate that I'm making to basically attach to this hole and to this one, but I need to keep this one down here. There's a nut here that also has to come loose. So I need to not make the plate so that it prevents access to that bottom hole. So I'm going to wind up making it come down sort of like this, and then back up to here. But before I can do that, I need this piece in here so I have that to work with, so I know where. So that's what I need to do. So what I need to do is get my grinder out, not my grinder, get my welder out, and get me a fresh, clean welding rod. Try to reach up in there and stick it to that back piece there without messing up the threads on it. And maybe I should explain that what I'm working toward here is to have a brace that's attached to but not welded to this car's frame, because this is a classic automobile. They only made them for a couple of years. I don't want to alter the frame any more than I have to, but if I make this sleeve that fits over this and I bolt it there, and then like put a big bolt through here, and I've got a spot back here where I can get a big bolt through the whole frame, then that will strengthen the frame, and the only damage I will have done is the holes that I'm going to need to drill to put a bolt all the way through that. Because see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark this plate, and that's still hot, and I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to put paint on that. After it cools off, I'm going to put this plate back up in this bolt and slide it up and mark that spot. And then I'm going to drill that spot and then bolt that on. Then I'm going to weld this piece that I'm making after I trim it down to this piece, so that all this becomes one piece. And then I bolt this one piece to this, and it'll be bolted there and there to the box itself, which the whole idea of doing all this is to stop that box from being able to move at all. And the way it is right now, if you turn the steering wheel, that box moves. It's just ever so slightly, but that's enough to cause problems down the road. So, I don't know if I can touch that yet or not, but I might be able to dab a little bit of that paint on there and set up my long bolt and slide it and mark my hole. I'm going to go ahead and drill the hole. Now for this one, I'm going to use an even longer bolt, because I'm going to have the whole thing slid back onto here, this whole plate. And then after I put that paint dab on there, see, I can move this up and line it up. Move this in until that touches right there. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got my paint right here. Stuck my brush up there so I wouldn't make a mess of it, so that the doggy wouldn't stick his nose in it really. I may still have enough paint on this. Let's see what we got. I got nothing. I should have had some paint on mine. There should be some paint showing there. It's not. Maybe I just didn't get enough on that. Alright, so I got a little spot here. And a little spot right there, where that touched. So it looks like it touched at the top of the bolt. So I'm going to want to make this hole here, make this the top of the hole right here. I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm going to use my drill same as I did before. Over here. And we may have to do a little modification to get that drill sit right, kind of like we did before. Actually, on this one here, I might be able to sit this. I was going to say, maybe I could sit this on top of that. Okay. Let me take a second or two to get this set up. And one of the first things I did when I got this magnetic drill press is I drilled a hole in my table with the idea that I could slide something up under here and drill through it without having to drill additional holes in my table. And today I'm going to be doing just that. So I can take this piece and set it right here, line it up, clamp it, and then I can drill through that without having to drill through my piece and my table. Okay, now we can take this piece, bring it right over here, if that's going to work. Now I'm going to use this long bolt to line this up here. And I'll see if this slips over that, which it does. See here? Now, this piece here can be welded. Now, let's see if I got anything like a gap here, because there is a little gap there. And I might can clamp that and weld it just like that. But see, before I do that, I'm going to be cutting this piece because I don't need all that metal down there. So I guess what I could do is go ahead and mark where I want to cut it. Get my piece of soapstone. I'm going to see if I can find a nut to fit that mold. That would be nice to attach that onto that. And then I could literally weld it on the car and then pull it off and finish welding it. See, that allows me plenty of room to get to this little bolt that's up under here. So if I want to take this off, see, this bolt goes all the way through to the other bolt that holds that, and with a little spacer or washer or thing or something like that between those two, that'll hold that snug. And then I'll weld this here, and then I'll come up here on the frame and I'll maybe put a bolt through up front here, because I've got a good section of where I can get through both sides of the frame, put a bolt all the way through that. I've got another place back here where I could bolt to the frame back here. So I believe I could make that work. And I might shoot a couple of tech screws down from the top. So I suppose if I wanted to set this up here and block it in place, spot weld. Pick up the spot welds on there. That's the plan. I got two magnets holding this up tight. I got it kind of propped up with a screwdriver and a board. I got this end clamped. As you remember, I cut a slot in this to get it to fit the frame. I got this part back here clamped to the frame. And I'm thinking I want to put a weld here and here. And then maybe pull it off and do some welding with it off the car. Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. Make just a couple of little welds to sort of hold things in place while I study on what comes next, I guess. Alrighty there. I think what I can do now is take this whole piece off and do some welding on it off the car. When I put it back on there, I'm going to want to study on how I attach it, because I want it to be very firm and stable, but at the same time, I want to be able to move it. If I ever need to remove it. Still have what's left of the original frame up under there, unmolested, as some people say. A phrase some people use for a car that's not messed up, especially a vintage car. This is not exactly unmolested, but it's got the original frame, got the original springs under the front, I believe. I don't know if those are the original springs in the back, or if he switched those over to Camaro springs. That's the kind of rear he's got. Not exactly sure, but still, there's a lot of good original stuff here. See, there's my piece that I made right there. And then here is my frame from up underneath there. Now, if I was really good, I could figure out where this hole is here. I could make a hole in that, and then this back side is where this has been boxed, and I think Mike might have boxed this frame. So I could make a hole in the back side of that and make a hole in this, put one bolt there to secure that, and then I wouldn't have to drill any additional holes in the frame up here. And back here, I don't think I have that option. I do have this frame stops being boxed very close to where this clamp is. See, this frame is boxed where this middle finger is. So this is unboxed. So the back side of this frame is open. If I put the bolt in if I find the right spot, because I've also got some braces that hold this steering thing here, but if I find the right spot, like I could put a bolt up at the top of this and reach over in here and attach it and put a bolt through that and attach this back here. I could also put a couple down through the top of the frame just to give it some rigidity from the top. And what I might do is use some self-tapping, some big heavy self-tapping screws for that. Oh, but we'll figure all that out as we go along, won't we? Yes, we will. All right, let me cut you all off. Yeah.